Hello and welcome to the San Diego 40K podcast. I'm George.
Go ahead, Kyle.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Justin.
And as you guys can already tell, something's a little different than normal. We have, first of all, a new guest with us, Mr. Kyle Gogan, and we're down 2 speakers. Also, for anyone on the YouTube channel, we've got video. Everyone wave to the camera.
Video.
Oh, wow. Internet.
Internet is going to explode.
So, what happened is, well, first of all, our buddy Brian, well, he got a little bit of a surprise a couple weeks ago. He found out he was moving to bumfuck nowhere.
You mean Minnesota?
Yeah, that place, bumfuck nowhere.
Sorry to anybody from Minnesota that listens to this besides Brian.
So he's going there for art school?
No, like engineering. It's architectural design.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so he's building like small scale models for large scale projects.
Yeah, I guess he went home and he was just told, "Happy birthday! You're going to school in Minnesota."
Yeah, I don't know if I'd really want that type of a birthday present.
So yeah. So right now we've got a bit of an empty seat, and we'll be trying out a couple guest hosts, talk about some stuff, and see who fits best. And then the other person who's missing, well, is Danny. And there's really nothing we can say about Danny because
except it's Danny.
It's just Danny. He decided that we were wrong when we said the podcast was today, but he was wrong. So
yeah. I called him like several times, like last night, and I called him this morning, and I texted him and stuff like that. Never got back to me, and I don't know where he's at, honestly. We'll try to track him down again and then kind of make more fun of him. But yeah, he's probably asleep still.
But unlike Brian, where we did stop a week's show when he suddenly disappeared, when it comes to Danny, the show must go on.
Yes, show must go on.
All right, so our guest host for this episode is Mr. Kyle Gogan, a new player to our Fort League here in San Diego, who's been using demons to surprising effectiveness.
Yep.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Kyle, your 40K background, stuff like that?
Hi. I'm currently going to college for culinary. I've been playing 40K since 4th edition. I started with Necrons, and those are pretty cool.
Necrons are cool.
I'm a robot.
Then Demons came out like 2 months before 5th edition, and I just had to get on that boat because they were cool and awesome and chaosy and played exactly like I play every single game.
And you could use them to play 2 games.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. And then 5th edition rolled around, and Necrons started to suck, and I was like, I'll just focus on Demons way more, and I basically played Demons just straight, and that was like the only army I ended up playing for like 5 years.
Nice.
So how much experience would you say you have in 40K?
I actually probably, despite I've only been playing for like 6 years, probably
only
7-ish.
6 years.
I was playing on Vassal, getting in like a game or 2 every day for a year or 2.
What is Vassal? Or
Vassal is a module program where it does a top-down view, and you have sprites that represents game tokens, so you can pretty much play any tabletop game on it if someone makes the sprites for it.
Oh, okay.
And there was a very well-developed community for 40K for it, so it was really easy to just log in and just find someone, just jump on the server, find someone, and then you just gather all the sprites for your army, and you just played.
Okay, sounds cool.
All right.
So since we do know now that Kyle is a Demons player, this week we're actually going to be talking about the Demons Codex. So just a quick thing for the rest of the agenda, just to let everybody know. Again, Kyle's going to be bringing up Demons Codex. We'll go over some of the different things that haven't happened.
A veritable Demon Palooza, if you will.
Yes, Demon Palooza.
A carnival of immaterium.
And then following that, we'll go over Kyle and George's League Week this week.
Oh, hold on. I got another one. A Tactica of Terror.
Okay. Enough with the puns. So we'll be going over League Weeks. Just to let everybody know, found out what my classes are going to be next quarter, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, yay, get to participate in the league this time.
Yay! Plastic Army Man.
Yay, Plastic Army Man. And then after that, we'll talk about our friend Reese, who's going to be holding a tournament at Kamikaze, which is going to be held up in Los Angeles. Also, again, we're going to be talking about our Dark Heresy plans, which are going to be scheduled next week, September 7th. Me and George will be playing in that with Danny and our friend Joel as our GM. We'll go over more of that. And then George is going to bring up the Reaper Mini Kickstarter that was actually up a while ago. It's over now, but
There might be a chance for people to get in on the bus a little late on that one.
Yeah, George will have more stuff on that.
But it's a really amazing story, and I think it's kind of a model for how model companies can try to do stuff in the future because of how positive the response was.
Yeah, this is definitely something that maybe GW or like War Machine or some of the other like miniature games might consider doing, just because of the outcry from the fans. And then again, we're gonna go over, probably be talking about a new segment that we're gonna be bringing up, and then after that we'll follow with announcements. So leading us in, the Demons Codex, Kyle.
Well, as a general overview of how demons work, their army rules are that they're demons, and so they have a bunch of various rules. Like all their save profiles are invul saves and not armor saves. Their heralds or their independent characters can only join gods of the same units of the same god. And then they also all have Eternal Warrior, Fear, and then they also have the Demonic Assault rule. Now, the Demonic Assault rule is that they all deep strike, and it effectively is like the drop pod assault, where they all have to deep strike, but half of them deep strikes turn 1. However, you have the fate of the gods that can decide which half comes in, and so you pick the half you want, and you roll a die, and on a 3+, that half is the half that deep strikes turn 1.
Okay.
If you roll 1 or 2, though, you get the other half.
So, do you build your armies around this? What happens if you don't get the half you want?
Well, you pick the half you want on your first turn. So if you go second, you get to see how your opponent's deploys, or at the very least, if you go first, you get to see what army you're playing against.
Yeah.
So it lets you prioritize which units you think you need to, start out your assault properly. Because demons are a very assault-heavy army, which is okay for deep striking because they still can't assault off a deep strike. But the way I like to set up my preferred waves is I like to have all my shooting stuff in the first wave.
Okay.
That way, I deep strike and I can do things right away. I can start shooting, cause wounds, which helps my assault units come in later. Because my first wave is giving cover; they're in the way. They'll might get tied up in other assaults, which they probably will survive because they're demons. They have invul saves and stuff. And then 2, they'll kill things, which means that there's less attacks back at me when my assault waves show up, which are the more important waves.
Okay. So I know that it is randomness, so do you take that into account, or kind of just like,
Do you try to have a backup plan, or is it usually like all or nothing? I really hope I get this right.
Well, on the preferred waves, a lot of people would like to do equal waves, where like they take 2 of everything and then put 1 in each wave. But I never liked that because, for one thing, it's not like if you're playing against a mech army and you have only 1 anti-tank unit in 1 wave, if you roll what you want, you aren't going to be doing very well against the mech army because you don't have enough things to kill the tanks. Or if you just like took your chance, got all the stuff in, you're going to win because you just killed all their tanks, and then you can rip them open when you want to. But for deep striking, I find there's a good way to do it, and it's that you don't have to be so afraid of it. Like, I'm very aggressive with my deep striking because I have to, because if I put them too far away, they have to walk, so they'll just get shot up. But surprisingly, it's not that high of a probability of the mishap if you think about it.
Okay.
Like, you have the scatter die, so that's still 1/3 of just hitting. But then when you're on the actual scatter, that's a 2/3 chance. But if you think about it as like a circle, you have the probability of landing in part of that circle.
Yeah.
And so if you like basically think of as areas, and then enemy units or things that cause mishap as overlapping areas in the circle, you can kind of generate an idea of probability of getting a mishap.
Yeah.
Like if you basically have a circle, but then there's only 1 unit that's only like an inch in diameter, that's barely going to give you a probability of a mishap. And the only thing you have to really worry about is just scattering away or towards the unit, depending on what you want to do. Because if you're shooting, you want to scatter away so that they don't assault you and ruin your shooting. And if you're assault, you want to scatter close so that you can get into assault next turn.
Yeah.
Also, you can take advantage of the terrain so that you can scatter close, not worry about getting shot up, and then you still have the cover save or something blocking line of sight.
How has the new Deep Strike mishap chart affected demons?
Oh, it's the new rules for deep striking and stuff is way helpful. For one thing, now that the unit only dies on a 1 as opposed to 1/2, which is what it was in 5th edition, so we're way more likely to have the unit survive. And the best result, which is going back in the reserves is now 4+ instead of 5+.
Yeah.
So the unit is now more likely as well to still do a good job, just maybe delayed a little bit.
Yeah.
And because basically getting the kill or being placed where your opponent wants it was really bad results.
Yeah.
So now that only happens 50% of the time instead of 2/3 of the time, which is very useful. Also, when you roll reserves now, it's 3+ turn 1 or turn 2, 3+ turn 3, and then they always come in if they're on, which means more units are showing up earlier, which is very important for demons because that was always one of the issues, is that because they're coming in piecemeal.
Yeah.
There's always less units on the field, so it's less target saturation, so it's just more shots are going into the few units, so they die faster.
Okay.
But now with more units on the table sooner, we can survive better and get more done.
Okay, sounds cool. Cool. So, for composition-wise for your demons, what have you seen works well for your playstyle? Like, what specific units and, like, just, like, in general?
Well, I'm a very aggressive player, so I like to do the very high damage units, like Flamers of Tzeentch, Fiends of Slaanesh, Screamers. The new Screamers are very good. I also enjoy Soul Grinders, but they don't need the Deep Strike as close to be as aggressive because they have the 36-inch large blast template. They're Phlegm Shot, which is Strength 8 AP3, so it's very good at killing vehicles and heavy infantry. And then for troops, demons are kind of out of luck in the troop department now because we're all very fragile because we're basically looking at like tough 3 or 4 and then a 5+ or 4, pretty much a 5+ invul save for everyone except for Pink Horrors, which are basically tough 3 with 4+.
Okay.
And so for troops, pretty much in 5th edition, we always, if we wanted to win, we'd always just take Plague Bearers because they're basically Plague Marines without the armor save and the shooting attack. And so that means that they're tough 5 with 5+ invul and 4+ feel no pain in 5th edition, and then they just took advantage of cover. Basically, they'd get into a 4+ cover and go to the ground every time. So that's 3+, 4+. They basically would never die.
Okay.
Now with the new rules for fearless and cover, that doesn't work anymore because now that they're fearless, they can't go to ground. So they're always, and also cover is pretty much always a 5+ now. So they're pretty much always making saves on 5+, 5+, which is about half as effective as it was in 5th edition.
Yeah.
And then also they can't run because slow and purposeful got changed. So now instead of just rolling difficult terrain for any move you made, now you just can't run. So now it's even worse for deep striking armies because that was a very important part about compensating for a bad scatter.
Yeah.
And only that, they can't spread out to avoid templates.
So that's the Nurgle stuff.
That's the Nurgle stuff. And unfortunately, for Nurgle armies, basically, if you weren't playing pure Nurgle, Plague Bearers are pretty much the only thing you'd ever take because Plague Bearers were scoring and being durable is where you want that. But now they can't even really count on that anymore. So Nurgles, I still take them because they're still really cheap and they're still the most durable scoring unit I have in general. But I'm still keeping it pretty light, and I'm focusing on troops now for Pink Horrors, which are units I liked in 5th edition, but now they're really showing up because now that 4+ invulnerable saves is really useful.
Obnoxious, I think.
It's very obnoxious. Like, they in perfect demon fashion, they randomly successfully targeted a unit. Like, in 5th edition, I had one Pink Horror survive a whole massive Tyranid shooting in their old codex. Carnifex charged it, held that Carnifex off for 5 rounds of combat. Would have been more, but the game ended.
Oh, man.
And then
That's horrifying.
Yeah, I know.
But
for HQs, we have Greater Demons and Heralds.
Oh, man.
Heralds are pretty good. Unfortunately, the only Heralds you probably would ever consider taking is the Tzeentch ones.
Okay.
Because the other ones are just more expensive versions of other units they can take, but they have less damage output for their price. But the Tzeentch ones give a very good utility for shooting attacks, like they can take anti-tank and anti-infantry at the same time. But then also, because of the new Lookout Star rules, you can stick them in units like the Flamers now, which now have 2 wounds, can take advantage of the Lookout Star wound allocation trick.
Okay.
Which is pretty much a really good tactic now.
Yeah.
And then you also have Greater Demons, which are okay, but they suffer from the problem that monsters creatures have, which is they're kind of overcosted for that all-around ability to be good at killing things and not die instantly.
Well, yeah, but they are an older codex, so
well,
I always points cost.
Well, like the problem was that even in they're basically a 5th edition codex because they came out 2 months before the edition came out. So I've always considered them to be 5th edition codex, but I've never really liked the way monster creatures perform unless they have a really crazy special rule or a really crazy stat number.
Shunt.
Yeah.
Shunt move.
Like if you look at like the
yeah.
Wraith Lord toughness 8, strength 4 can't even hurt it. You need strength 5. You basically have to treat it like a vehicle to kill it.
Yeah.
Or like the Turvagon, or like it has like just generates whole scoring units every turn.
Or the Trigon
And-
that
Or the
just pops
Trigon
out.
who can
pop out
safely
of
deep
nowhere.
strike.
And then
Yeah.
like the Fate Weaver has the whole reroll save rule, which is
Yeah.
crazy good. But then without anything like that, they just die too fast to everything. Basically, like a unit of 2 or just like guardsmen or infantry shooting basically kills them, and you're basically investing 200 points for something that doesn't even have that good damage output because it's only getting like 4 or 5 attacks in combat.
Okay.
Can't they buy wings to make them flyers? Does that help them out somewhat?
After I've been playing around with the flyer rules a lot, the problem with flyers is that it's a 60-point upgrade for the demon princes anyway. So like it's basically so like for the greater demons for HQs, it's basically that 60-point difference between the two. Like for Nurgle and Keeper Secrets, they're not flying, so they're only like 160 and 200. And then when you go to the Bloodthirster and Lord Change, they're flying. They're 250.
Yeah.
And then for Demon Princes, it's a 60-point upgrade. And the problem with that, though, is that it doesn't really give them anything special other than just being more mobile and slightly more durable.
Well,
Because-
only slightly.
Well, the issue is that when they're flying, like first of all, we have the Deep Strike.
Yeah.
You can't fly on Deep Strike. I looked into it. This is something I found out against Doug. You have to choose gliding on deployment, and deep striking is the way we deploy.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So we can't start swooping when we deep strike. So we always show up and can get shot normally, which means that we'll probably die in that one shooting phase. But if we do even manage to get the flying, we can still get grounded, and we also don't have Skyfire. So we can't have like a shooty flying monster creature shooting down flyers. And then our vector strikes are only generally strength 5 or strength 6, so that's not even a good odds of vector striking a flyer down.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're basically only thing flying gives us is that hard to hit rule, which we probably won't get to really take advantage of because we also have to ground test.
Okay.
All right. And that rule you have to start rolling on to hits, right?
Yeah, you roll it on the to hits. It's per every unit shooting, not per every hit.
Oh.
But it's only on to hit, so even things that don't cause damage
Marker lights.
would trigger it, like marker lights.
Yep.
Or
Did that once.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was awesome.
Like it was my first demon game against George for 6th edition, and I had the Fate Weaver flying by, and he hit him with marker lights, and he grounded on that hit, and he got shot to death that turn.
it was awesome.
It was
He
hilarious.
took a light to the eye,
mean,
and you're just like, oh my
I was
god.
like,
Oh, what's this?
I didn't see that coming.
Why? Crash down. And just
Someone put that mirror away, god damn it.
Okay.
All right.
So, I know that with Demons Codex and stuff like that, I know fluff-wise, normally, like, demons usually don't get together and fight. But are you one of those, like, do you believe in, like, purists, like, all, like, Khorne armies and things like that?
I mean,
I know with how the Codex is right now, that's probably not viable for, like, an all, like, specific Chaos God army.
Yep. The issue with the way the Codex is written out is that gods are basically specialized units.
Mm-hmm.
Khorne is specialized against heavy infantry. Slaanesh is specialized against light infantry and tanks. Nurgle is just about being durable. And then Tzeentch is the all-around, but it's focused on shooting and sucks at combat. So if you're not taking a balance of everything, you pretty much lose out on certain things. And so if you happen to run into an army that, specializes in that thing you're missing, you're pretty much out of luck.
Okay.
Luckily, a few of the gods can compensate for it because they're more all around and what their role can do. Like Khorne, only good against anti-infantry, but and Nurgle, I'll talk about Epidemius later, but Slaanesh actually is pretty viable just because the way Slaanesh works is they have a ton of rending attacks. Like their base troop, which is Demonettes, has 3 rending attacks at initiative 6, and they have attacking the defense grenades, but they don't have the grenade effect now.
Okay.
But so basically, they can run in and have the same potential of killing any unit. Have a good chance at least. And like even against Terminators because of rending, and then they also can go after vehicles, and against armor 10 they also have a chance against killing vehicles. The only thing that Slaanesh will have trouble with is one, they're very fragile. They're the weakest unit. They're the most fragile units of the gods in the Codex. They're all generally tough 3 with 5+. And then you're still paying a lot of points for that. And then also they still have to get all these rending attacks in. because you still have to get those 6s to be successful.
Yeah.
At the mercy of the dice.
Yeah. So like generally the best way, if you want to go mono Slanesh, you pretty much have to play like the Pink Tide, where you just buy mobs of 20 Demonettes and then 20 Seekers and then max out on Fiends, because they're the best. Like, they're pretty much the best elite choice right now, actually. They're really, because they're beasts with 5 strength 5 running attacks.
Ooh. And
they have hit and run too, so they can just assault a random unit, be like, I'm done here, and go chase down the unit they really wanted by moving 3d6. And then Tzeentch also has a good chance, because even though they don't have any specialized unit they're good at killing at, because they're just shooting, and so they have access to all the good shooting attacks. So Pink Horrors basically have a weaker heavy bolter. It's only 18 inches and strength 4, but it's still 3 shots at AP 4. Then you have Flamers, which are the Breath of Chaos. They also have Warfire, but Breath of Chaos is their big deal, because it's the template that doesn't care about toughness, always wins on 4+, and ignores all armor saves. And you can just take, each model has that template, so you just deep strike them, like throw down 4 or 5 templates. If you have a large unit of them, that unit's gone.
Didn't they have a special rule for those Flamers too when they hit vehicles?
Yeah, the special rules for the template is it doesn't have a strength value. Instead, on a 4+, it glances.
Ooh, that's...
With which the new whole point rules means that basically you're going to kill a vehicle. Now they're really good against vehicles too, because like I had this in my game against Doug. He had the battle wagon out. I had a unit of 7 Flamers. I just jumped up, flame templated them, got 5 glances, so that auto killed the battle wagon.
It's like boom, done.
Yeah, just said you're dead.
Wow.
That Flamers are crazy good. And with the new rules update that they got from the White Dwarf this month, there are now 2 wound models with 5+, and they're only 23 points instead of 35.
Ooh, that's good.
Big bonus.
Now they're affordable enough where you can take big units and not worry about them dying all at once.
Yeah.
Especially if you put an independent character in there.
Do you use Flamers in your army list? Yeah.
I've been playing around with the new Flamers because they do really well. Like in my game against John, the newer player who played Grey Knights, I tried the 8 unit. I deep-strike them next to Terminator Squad. They got the hit on the scatter die.
Okay.
Just blew up that unit, and he just tried to focus them down, but because of their dual wounds, they survived long enough to have enough Flamers to kill the other Terminator unit he had out.
It's not like you can charge that unit. That's just asking for trouble.
Yeah, because with Wall of Fire, they're getting D3 hits of their 4+ auto kill templates.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, that is terrifying.
And then Tzeentch also has Screamers, which before they were just jet bikes with multi bombs, which with the new edition actually made them much better because they can use it on monstrous creatures now, and they can also reliably hit tanks.
Yes.
But now with the new rules, their attacks are now strength 5, AP 2 with armor bane, and they have 3 attacks base.
Oh wow.
So now they're really good at killing vehicles still. Like even though it's only strength 5 and 2d6 instead of the strength 8 and 2d6, you're getting 4 attacks of it. Which gives you, even against land raiders, you actually have a better probability just because of how many attacks you're getting.
Yeah.
And then now that they're actually AP2 attacks in combat, they're really good against all infantry now.
Okay.
And then you still have Fate Weaver and the Blue Scribes as really good HQ options for Tzeentch.
Nice.
Then with Khorne, you just gotta, hope you run into a lot of Marine lists that aren't focusing on vehicles. They just have a whole bunch of power weapons, which unfortunately with the changes to 6th edition, Khorne pretty much got an overall nerf, because now Furious Charge doesn't give them the initiative bonus.
Okay.
And their power weapons are only AP3, so now they can't just kill Terminators either, which is something that even the Bloodletters are really good at. Just take like 8, and Terminators would just dissolve eventually. But then you have Nurgle. Now, Nurgle's all about durability, but the thing about a Nurgle list is they have Epidemius, who's a special character herald, and the way Epidemius works is he has the tally of Nurgle, where every time a Nurgle unit kills something, all Nurgle units, including friendly ones or enemy ones, get a bonus. And it starts with just everyone, all their poisoned attacks are 3+, and then it gets up to feel no pains or taking on 3+.
Yeah.
And then eventually, if you get max, all combat attacks are on 2+ poison, and then every attack that Nurgle units make ignore armor saves, and that has been FAQ to even include shooting attacks.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. So, does that work with Chaos Allies?
Yes. It's always worked, even because of the whole enemy unit thing. Like, if you did a doubles tournament, it was guaranteed to work. If you had a mirror match, both players benefited from your tally.
Man, everyone's dying in that game.
And so the only issue with the Nurgle list is if you go by pure Demon Codex, they were still kind of meh. Mostly because the only thing that was good at killing things that had Nurgle in its name were Nurgle Demon Princes. But to get them to be that good, you had to spend like 200 points per Demon Prince. And then even then, you still didn't have a way to deal with vehicles very well. And you're mostly just paying to have like your Plague Bearers just kill things in combat instead of just sitting there in combat and not dying. But it made Nurglings funny because they're swarms with 3 attacks.
Wow.
Nice.
So they're getting 3 power weapon attacks that always wounded on 2+. And they're also Eternal Warriors because they're demons, so they can't get insta-deathed.
That's cool.
Ridiculous.
Swarms. I like swarms.
The thing with if you go outside the Codex though, the Nurgle list actually really expands. I haven't gotten a chance to play with it though because I don't have all the models. But if you look at Chaos Space Marines, you get Plague Marines, which is just crazy good because now we have a shooting unit that's now also durable. We can use it as scoring because Plague Bearers can't really cover that role very well anymore. And then we have access to the Melta guns, the regular shooting attacks, and then we also can get like the Nurgle Demon Princess in HQ or Typhus, who has the Breath of Chaos as well. And then you can even look at forgeable models, which are all really good Nurgle demons because you got a Light Drone, which is a flyer, 12, 11, 10, who basically has the Phlegm attack from the Soul Grinder and a Reaper autocannon.
Yeah, I know British Ben.
Yeah.
Haven't seen him in a while at the game store, but he has a demon list too that runs those Nurgle flyers.
They're really good. Then you also have the Plague Hulk, which is a Soul Grinder, but with a Nurgle an actual Nurgle Grinder. I actually have the model for it. I like it a lot. I just don't use the rules for it. And all of its attacks are way shorter. Like, its shooting attacks are way shorter range, but they're all 3+ poison at AP3. And then the blast is an ordnance that also has a rending on it. And then it's also strength 7 base, but it has the dreadnought weapon still. And then it also always has a 5+ cover save. But the real neat thing is that because of the way the demon rule works in the from the rule book, it's all worded in the Codex too that we get both at the same time for all of our units. And since the vehicles count as demons as well, they all have a 5+ invul save. That includes the Plague Hulk, the Blight Drones, and also the Slanesh Chariots we got from the rules update, and also the Decimator, which is the new forward unit that they have experimental rules out for. And I really like that one because you can give it a Nurgle mark, and that gives it the "It Will Not Die" rule.
Ooh.
And then it also, as a normal, also has a general special rule for it. It's stays on the table, and then and you roll a d6 every turn. On a 6+, it stands back up with d3 hull points.
What?
And then
it's got old cybernetics.
Yeah. But the funny thing about the way that rule works is that special rule forces it to stay on the table. So you get the test for the "It Will Not Die" rule every turn.
Okay.
Instead of just that initial turn.
All right.
Wow.
And then it's also pretty good in combat and has shooting attacks too, so it's pretty good for Epidemius.
Very cool. Very cool. So overall, from transition from I can't talk. Sorry. From transition from 5th edition to 6th edition, you
Good or bad?
Good or bad?
I think Demons gained a lot actually, because like the things like deep striking, which is our main way of doing things, got way better. We got way better at it. We have a bunch of we all have fear now, which means we're even better in combat. And we still were never that bad. We've always kind of been undervalued just because of we're so random and whatever. But we are still really effective for a point cost. We just have issues getting into combat, and that's where you need to be a strategic general about. The only things that Demons really lost was, scoring. Because Plague Bearers aren't very good anymore, and now dealing with flyers.
Yeah.
Well, that's where allies come in, and allies basically are completely capable of dealing with all of our faults.
Yeah.
We got Plague Marines to do with our scoring instead, and then we can take the fortification for an anti-air gun, and Chaos is also getting the Chaos Dragon, which is supposed to have vector striking and Side Rifleman autocannons, and then we also could just take guard and take a bunch of vendettas and stuff. And that just covers all of our holes, and Demons should definitely be very solid.
I'm surprised. I didn't think Slanesh Demons would cover all their holes.
Well, they try to. There's just
he went there.
You're welcome. So
Internet, it's on the internet's.
What?
Yeah, never mind. No. No, we're not
You're-
going back to it. No,
Ah,
You're welcome.
No.
You're welcome, Internet.
Yes.
So, what advice do you have for any starting up demon players?
I would just you really need to start thinking out about how you deep strike, because you can't just put it down and just hope for the best.
Okay.
There's ways that you can just kind of think about it that really show you where they should show up, and like give you a better probability of them still being useful, even if you get a bad scatter.
Okay.
And then just play for the best. You know, there's just bad units in the codex. Like Furies are just guardsmen with jump infantry. That's literally all they do. And then flesh hounds are beasts, but they have no special combat rules. So
Yeah.
like they get stuck in combat with like guardians from Eldar.
Yeah.
And they
Ooh.
can't do anything.
That sucks.
But the units, there's a lot of versatility in the codex. There's a lot of ways to play like the way you want to play. It's a lot of fun.
Would you recommend this codex for say someone brand new trying to get into the game? Would you recommend this codex for them, or would you advise?
It's more of an advanced player codex.
No.
Okay, so it definitely.
This is very advanced.
So definitely tell the guy to play some Space Marines first, and then you can look into this codex.
No, you play some Chaos Space Marines first, so when you get the demons, you can use them as a team.
True.
That is true. I
Yes.
think demons can do really well as allies because we're basically a shock unit that just kills whatever we assault.
Okay.
So it's good for those fortified shooting armies that are kind of sitting back, and then all of a sudden demons start showing up and killing everything.
Suddenly,
Okay.
8 Flamers of Zinch destroy a unit.
Okay, cool. All right.
right.
So good talk about the new Demons Codex, or not the new Demons Codex, but the new thought process on the Demons Codex for 6th edition. We'll go ahead and move on to the League Week for this week. George?
Yeah, so me and Kyle are in the league, and since our last podcast, I've played 3 league games, 2 of which were actual league games, and 1 was a makeup. The first one I played was against Brian. That was my Tau with the Orc allies versus his Chaos, and it's been a while, but from what I remember, I shot him a bunch, and he had a bunch of Terminators, and they died.
All of them died.
All of them died, and then I won. Tau shooting.
Yes.
Tower
Okay.
the best army.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
They're good.
Oh, they kill my army.
Well, I would guess that means they're the best in the game. Shit.
Yes. Oh, God. Internet explosion.
Anyway,
so
so then my next game was against the only undefeated player in our league. It was a makeup game, and we'd set this up before he was distinctly undefeated. It was against Junior, Danny's brother, and his Grey Knights, and he had a really hard all-Terminator list. 2 Dread Knights with teleporters and flamers, and then 10 Terminators and a Paladin squad with Drygo in front. And he threw a lot of Terminators at me, and then I shot them all, and then they all died. And the game ended with him only having a 2-wound Drygo model in close combat with 22 Orc boys. That combat was never ending. And I ended up getting away from that game with quite a few points.
Nice. Again, Tau shooting for the win.
Tau shoot Terminators. And then my last game was against Mr. Kelly and his purple
Space Marines?
Death? No, they were
Which Space
they were
Marine
the ones that have the drop pod assault with Terminators. Raven Wing, the Dark Angels Terminators.
Oh, Deathwing.
Deathwing. Yeah.
Yes.
You seen a pattern here?
Yes.
So he dropped 15 Terminators into my place with another special character, and then I shot them all, and they all died. I think we can draw a lesson from this, boys and girls. Don't bring Terminators against Tau. They don't help.
They don't help.
They're
with
not.
the amount
They are
of-
not the answer.
Not with that many AP2 weapons that you have in your
Lots of AP2, and then my list right now has like 30 Fire Warriors and 30 Orc Boys. It's just
Yeah, that's a lot of
so much firepower.
Yeah, you pretty much cover all bases with just like special anti-heavy infantry weapons and then just flak fire.
Yeah. So those are my last 4 games versus Terminators, and more Terminators. And they ate plasma and died. The end.
Yeah.
Take that, Space Marines.
I want to hear another story.
Well, let me tell you about the time that the lone fire warrior punched a broodlord to death in combat. He did. And then I won the game. The end.
Nice.
Should I do all my league games?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, go for it.
Well-
Since you haven't been on the podcast, you can start from League One.
Yeah, you
Awesome.
can start from whatever. Tell us the story of the demons.
I shall weave you a tapestry
Tapestry of Demons.
out of the warp. I've had 5 games so far. I'm 2-2-1 total. My first game was against Mark's Necrons. We ended up just killing each other. By the end of the game, I only had Fate Weaver left, and he only had a unit of Immortals left. But they were both contesting an objective, so no one scored anything. It was just really...
So that was your draw.
Yeah, it was
right.
a draw. That was my first draw.
Wow.
That's right.
Killing all the Necrons and just having Fate Weaver tar pit these Immortals. And I would have...
Yeah.
If the game went on, I would have won.
You would have
because
gotten
I
away
would have
with it,
tabled him because
too.
Fate Weaver would have killed them all because he's still a monstrous creature.
Yeah,
You
you
still-
would have gotten away with it, too.
It was an interesting game overall because
Except for those.
Except for those pesky Necrons, and there will be back too.
it was the first game I had with the new rules for Flamers and Zinch, so I was trying them out.
Okay.
So Screamers, they were really cool. They blew up a Doomsday Arc and then flew around attacking Wraiths. The Necron Wraiths, rather. And then the Flamers, they had the Blue Scribes in there, and Blue Scribes is a special Zinch Herald who is on a disc, so he's also jump infantry.
Okay.
The special rule for the Blue Scribes is that they get to shoot 2 attacks a turn, and they have every shooting attack, including the other gods' shooting attacks, like Pavane and Nurgle's Aura of Decay and stuff. But when they shoot 2 guns, they have a primary, and then when they go to make their second shot, they have to roll a D6 to see if they're bickering about the first shot.
Like I said, they're Beavis and Butthead
Yeah.
of the Demon Codex.
And on a 4+, they fire a second shot as normal, but on a 1 through 3, they refire their first shot because the second one's like, I can do that better.
Nice.
And so it was a lot of fun because I kept getting like dual Breath of Chaos from the Blue Scribes, and they were sitting in the Flamers unit, so I was getting like 10 Flamers a turn a lot. It was hilarious. But this was all against Wraiths who had invulnerable saves.
Yeah.
So they weren't dying like I wanted them to, but they all got wiped out eventually.
Darn those 3-up saves.
Yep. Game 2 was against John, the new John, who was playing Grey Knights, and
Okay.
that game was a massacre. Flamers he had a very small list. It was just 2 Terminator squads, 2 Riflemen, Dreadnoughts, and then the monstrous creature that Grey Knights
Dread
have,
Knight.
the Dread Knight, and then Storm Raven with some
The
Purifiers
Terminator.
in it.
Yeah,
So you want like
Terminator.
super elite units.
Yeah, because that was the kill point mission, and so I was like Flamers, Blood Crushers, Fiends of Slanesh, Screamers. I've been running around with Fate Weaver because even though he's broken, he's still my favorite character, like fluff wise, and he plays the way I'd play everything, breaking
Yeah.
the rules.
Yeah, let me
Breaking
tell you.
the
Let me
rules.
tell you. As an aside, Kyle's got this thing where if you're playing a game with him and there's a normal way to win, Kyle tries to do it a different way. Okay, all right. I don't know if any of you know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh. All right, but Kyle doesn't win by punching you in the face. Kyle wins by playing Exodia. All right.
I win by playing one turn kills and the I win effects of
Yeah.
the game, and I'm trying to do it in Magic too.
He tries to do it in Magic too. He tries to
Poison.
throw you into door to nothingness.
Door to nothingness. Poison
Or-
counters.
This
Or-
Battle of Wits.
Play Battle of Wits, which wins you the game if you have 200 or more cards in your deck.
Or instead of playing a nice control engine deck, I'll just play Kalia and just start putting things from my hand for free.
Yeah.
And then, like, in fighting games, I don't play the normal people. I play the really wonky people who just don't care what you do and, like, log trap. Just beats everything from this guy, Rocket Raccoon.
Kyle's got a thing for Rocket Raccoon in Marvel vs. Capcom.
But, yeah, that's basically how every game goes
And
down.
so that transfers right over to 40K, where he's like, no, screw you. I'm going to roll all my saves twice.
But, yeah, in that game, Flamers just showed up. They made their scatter. Blew up one Terminator unit. He didn't have enough shooting from having such elite units to kill the Flamers outright, so they just blew up the other Terminator unit, and then the rest of my army killed the Dread Knight. So by the top of turn 3, all he had was the 2 Dreadnoughts and then the Storm Raven flying by. And so he wouldn't drop off the unit because I was just going to kill it anyway.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hurt the Storm Raven because it's flying. So I just spent the rest of the game killing the Dreadnoughts, which took forever because I don't have any good anti-tank still. I just had to get the Flamers up there and just glance them to death, which worked out. So that was a complete massacre. Game 3 was against Doug and his Orcs, which I like to say Orcs because the guard did nothing that game. It was literally the Orc Knobs and the Battle Wagon of Scorchers that killed my army. And it started out with just the knobs on the table and then some Gretchens. And then I tried the Deep Strike, everything to kill the Orc Knobs. But the Flamers and Fate Weaver mishapped. So the only people that stuck there were both my Demon Princes that were running that game, because I wanted to try them out, and it was heavy scoring.
Yeah.
So it was just this tar pit of 3 combat phases, but I wasn't rolling really well. Like, I had the Nurgle Demon Prince, who's really good in combat because he has 2+ poison that gets to reroll the wound because he's strength 5.
Okay.
And he's still a monstrous creature with weapon skill 7. First round of combat, I missed every attack off the bat. So, like, probably... And so the knobs basically killed both Demon Princes, and then also I think I threw Screamers in there to try and kill them, which are also strength 5 AP2. So they're very good in combat. All of those units didn't do anything. I think I only got 4 wounds total because he made almost all of his invul saves and feel no pain saves.
Yeah, Doug and our friend Shane are really good about making them saves for their
Those
orcs.
5-ups.
And so,
orc
unfortunately, that's about, if I remember correctly, that is about 800 points worth of models. Worth of just throwing, 700 actually, throwing at the knobs that didn't do anything. And that's almost half my army.
Yeah.
So the game, and I didn't end up winning. It was very close, though, because I had Plague Bearers that were just sitting on an objective that were too far away to ever get hurt. So I had one. He had one. And so it was the knobs controlling the second one. Fate Weaver got 3.5 inches away from it to almost contest it.
Oh.
So I almost was a tie game. I was like, whoa. But, so yeah, I was lost there. I was pretty, despite the bad turnout against the knobs, I enjoyed it. It was fun. Cool. Flamers did funny things, like they killed the Battle Wagon.
Yeah.
In one go. And then game 4 was against Jason's Guard.
Mm-hmm.
And that game, I ended up winning. It was the fast attack scoring, so I was taking Seekers as a Slanesh instead of Fiends.
Okay.
Seekers are basically just Demonettes on Cavalry, and they have 1 more attack, but they're 3 points more. And I was kind of worried about it because I was focusing on this idea, which was taking advantage of the whole, look, you can't allocate wounds to things you can't see. Mm-hmm. So I was taking a bunch of just units of 5 so that I could just have them all behind a wall. They can't see them, but I have an objective there, so I'm scoring with them.
Yeah.
So I did that with Plague Bearers and some Demonettes. But he set up all of his guard, and it was also hammer and anvil, so it was the short table edges from across the entire table.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I ended up basically winning because it was just this long slug. I didn't have the slug all the way across the table because I just deep strike right in front of him.
Yeah.
So I had a Bloodthirster, Fate Weaver, and Screamers show up. And he was focusing very hard on the Fate Weaver. And Fate Weaver made all of his saves because he's Fate Weaver. He rerolled all of them. Yeah. And so I got to his front, and then Bloodthirster tar-pitted 30 guardsmen. And then the Screamers killed everything else. And then the Fate Weaver was just there going high, just shooting everything. Pink Horrors showed up and killed the Rough Riders. That was pretty fun. And then when the drill showed up, I had Seekers and the Demonettes standing by. Mm-hmm. And so they just kind of went and dealt with that. So he only got 1 objective overall from just showing up on my table end.
Yeah.
But I still had 2 other objectives, so I ended up with 6 points to his 2 points in terms of objectives. So, and I almost killed everything, so it was pretty good. Flamers did nothing that game. Flamers have, even with their new rules and stuff, they did nothing. They both made their hits, but they did no damage. The first
I
one,
can only imagine because you're playing against an army that they would love to fight because you have all the infantry.
Yeah, no, it's only infantry, but it's okay. It's only okay because it's all toughness 3. So the fact that they're always wound on 4+ is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Instead of having a strength value that would do better against them.
Yeah.
And they also have low armor, so it's okay against guard, other than just getting more hits.
Okay.
But I didn't roll very well. The first unit ended up only being able to shoot at his his artillery unit, and so I only killed 2 of them. And the other unit landed dead in the middle of the army, but I only got 3 wounds total after rolling for everything. But yeah, it was a win. And then this week was my game against John's Necron John.
Oh, how'd that get
Mr. Platt.
It ended up being a tie, but I had a lot of really terrible things happen, things that just cumulatively resulted in it being a tie instead of a win. Mm-hmm. I was basically in the lead for the most part, but just things kept happening. Fate Weaver showed up. He only got hit once. Doom Scythe shot his Death Ray, one hit on the Fate Weaver, successful wound, failed the first save, failed the reroll, failed the leadership test.
He was like,
Instantly. He's
Peace
like,
out.
I don't like Death Rays. These robots aren't fun. I'm going away.
I'm going home.
And it's only
Peace out.
it's only even sadder because I was trying Skull Taker that game, and so I ended up with the Warlord trait where Skull Taker gives his leadership to other units. Doesn't matter for demons; they're all leadership 10 except for Fate Weaver. His leadership's 9.
okay.
I rolled a 10. If Skull Taker had shown up that turn, and this was like turn 3.
Yeah.
Basically, I failed the 3+ twice in a row. Fate Weaver would have survived because he would have made the leadership test because of Skull Taker's leadership. And then I also had it where I had Flamer's Deep Strike. They ended up scattering all the way to the table edge. Mishapped, got placed where the opponent wanted to, so they couldn't do anything that game.
Yeah.
And then this all resulted in this one warrior. Oh, this was all trying to get rid of one warrior squad on the objective.
Yeah.
And so it came down to Screamers. They got the assault on them, and they won the combat. He failed his morale test. But when it went to sweeping advance, I rolled a 1. He rolled a 4, so that was a 6 to 5. If I had rolled anything other than 1, I would have wiped the unit out. And so next turn, they regroup and run all the way back up to the objective. So I couldn't get rid of them anymore because all my units were dead.
Yeah.
But if any of those things succeeded, I probably would have won that game.
Luck of the dice rolls.
Yep.
Luck of the
But
dice
Skull Taker
rolls.
did really well. He's a really fun character now because the way Skull Taker works is he has rending, but in combat his rending is on a 4+ and causes instant death. So he ended up in combat with both a swarm of scarabs and wraiths. He ended up just swinging through 5 scarab base by himself in one round of combat because he got all 5 wounds on them, and then he killed 3 wraiths by himself because he got 4 wounds and he failed 3 of the saves, and they just got because they're 2 wound models.
Yeah.
It was really awesome.
He took some ghost skulls.
Yep.
Yes, he did.
Robot skulls. The swarms didn't really help.
Well, if they're robots, do they necessarily have skulls? You got robot heads.
They're
they're shaped like skulls.
They don't have a nose.
Meh.
There's a hole there. It's like there's no nose.
Okay.
All right, yeah, no, I'll call that a skull. Like,
I mean, it's
conceptually.
not a fun way because in Fluff, the way the Skull Taker takes the skull is he puts his hand on your head and then he chants an incantation and burns the flesh off of your skull right there on your body.
oh, that's no fun for the Necrons. They already did that for you.
Yeah, it's like just snaps it off.
You're just like, well,
I guess I can take
sure.
this.
This
Puts
is.
it in his pocket and like, I'll see you later.
It's like, I'll come. Why do I gotta go after these
Skulls
guys?
for the Skull Throne.
It's like they don't even bother me at all.
A sad skull taker.
You see Korn just look at it and it's like, what the fuck is this?
There's no blood in here.
I can't sit on this.
What is this? Tosses it to the side and just like in the other pile.
I will say though, against John, that was a really good game. Like it was really close. It was always on the edge where everything could have just turned around at any second.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just demons held their own against what probably was right now considered the best army in the edition right now. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, I mean John's a pretty solid player.
He's got a good list. I think he has.
Yeah, he has a very solid list.
Yeah, he has 2 units of 6th Wraiths, the 2 giant mobs of warriors.
2 Doom Scythes.
Yeah, 2 Doom Scythes and the Scarabs, and that's a pretty solid list.
Yeah, and does he still take Ematech?
Yeah, he still takes
Ematech
Ematech.
did nothing that game.
Well, it's
Like he Night Fighting went away the first on turn 2, and then also none of the Lightning did anything, and then he was always in the Warrior squad that was on the objective.
Yeah,
so I never got to him.
Yeah, I mean, Ematech is very situational in my opinion. And just by being that, I don't think he's worth this point cost because he's like over a 200 point model.
You need to build your army for him.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of armies are built.
Like
right way to
he's
use
the
him.
kind of one you kind of have to run into combat to get the most out of him, to take advantage of his durability and killing potential.
Yeah, and even then, his killing potential is not that great. He just gets rerolls to hit and to wound.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any. And that's
Does he have a War Scythe?
No, that's a special weapon is being
Ah.
able to reroll to hit and to wound. So you get saves off of it, normal armor saves off of it.
That's not good.
Like that's the only thing I have with
Yeah.
Trizon, which is the Trizon the Infinite. because he doesn't have any real special rules other than not necessarily dying all the time.
Well, no, the big thing with Tryson is he scores.
He's a scoring unit.
But that's the problem, though, is like the units that he respawns off of are like is the Royal Court and then the Tomb Guard.
Lich Guard.
Yeah. Lich Guard are kind of bad. They're very expensive for like when you could just take wraiths.
Yeah.
But and they're slow. They're moving. I don't think they can really take a vehicle either.
Right.
No, they can take a vehicle. They can ride in the
teleporting
Night Scythe.
thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Night Scythe.
Night
Yeah.
Scythe.
They're just infantry. Well, they're jump infantry, but...
And so like the only
No, they're not.
basically
Praetorians are the jump infantry. These guys are just regular infantry.
Oh, neat.
But so the problem is when I think of the scoring rule, I just kind of think of it as making the Lich Guard scoring. It was like, oh, I don't really want to take a Lich Guard. Because it's either that or you start taking up, or when you respawn, you start respawning on cryptics, which are doing things you want to do.
Well, I mean, like, then again, you got to build your army around Tryson, whereas you're not going to be spending a lot of points on those, like, special little gadgets. You're going to be spending it on guys and just be like, hey, this guy was really cheap, and if my guy dies, then he's going to spawn as this cheap guy. And I didn't lose that many points. And if that guy already has like a one-time use item and he's already used it, you don't really care if he gets replaced.
Mm-hmm.
So you're mostly like solar pulses and things like that. You're using it for those type of guys. It's like, use your item, you're done. I don't care if you get replaced now.
See, the only thing I don't like about him is that he also has like no damage output. He doesn't have a shooting attack.
Situationally, he can go nuts.
Yeah, situationally he can
No,
go
the
nuts.
problem with the situational thing is he has to still do a wound first, and he doesn't have any weapons. He just punches them, and if he gets a wound through, he can...
Right, but his job is to fight things that are hordes.
Yeah.
His job is to be like, I'm punching the Termagant. Oh, look, there's 29 of his buddies over there, and he had a 6-up save.
Yeah.
I guess he didn't pass it.
And even if he does fall down, that ability still goes into effect, even if he dies.
All right.
So, and then, I mean, that's still going to get away with a bunch of guys. So, I mean, you want to be able to be like, hey, I'm going to multi-charge something. I'm just going to punch this one guy. Really don't care if I lose combat because I know that regardless, everybody that's the like model of this guy is going to die. So you want to go after, like George was saying, horde models with like low armor saves, like Termagants, Guardsmen, boys, Orc boys.
Like, he's great to charge into that blob squad, the guard blob squad, and just
50-man blob squad. You're
punk
just like
a guardsman and be like, what?
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah, he does sound cool, but he's no skull taker.
Oh, he's no skull.
He's no skull taker.
He doesn't take skulls. He takes small trinkets
And artifacts. He's Indiana Jones.
He's
in
Necron
form.
Indiana Jones.
Yes. This belongs in a museum. My museum. Okay, so that was your last game?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that was the League Week update for this week, Game Empire. Hopefully I'll be able to enjoy talking to you guys about this when I'm actually playing. And then moving on. So Kamikaze, just a short update on this one. So Kamikaze is a comic convention up in Los Angeles set up by Mr. Stan Lee. It's supposed to be just straight comics and stuff like that, so no influence from video games or Hollywood.
A little bit more of a old school Comic-Con sort of feel.
Yeah, this is a throwback to the old school Comic-Con where it's just like, hey, this is what Comic-Con used to be like, and just being able to do something like that. Because with the craziness of how Comic-Con is right now,
yeah,
I mean, I'm pretty sure we needed something of a throwback being like, hey, everybody wants to go. Here's something that we could do as a substitute.
So you don't have to worry about all the little Twilight fangirls or whatever they're all over.
Twilight
now.
should be over since the last movie's done.
Now it's the Hunger Games.
Oh yeah, now it's all the Hunger Games kids.
Yeah, Hunger Games.
Hunger Game kids.
Hunger Game kids. Hunger Game babies.
Yeah.
Fighting for the death. Gotta change the diapers.
Wacky Adventures.
Oh my gosh.
Saturday morning.
I still think that is a steal from the old Battle Royale.
Oh,
Japanese.
it's straight from Battle Royale. That was fun book.
Fun book. Have you ever seen the movie?
No.
I think I have that movie here somewhere.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yes. So if you want to see a lot of people get killed in a movie, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then so the thing with Kamikaze is our friend Reese is actually going to be holding a tournament there for 40K. And it's a really good tournament. They held it last year. It was really fun. Got a lot of coverage. I'm actually going to be going to Kamikaze to help out with videos and to do some interviews with some of the players. And then I'll do an interview of Reese for the league organizer.
Nice.
I'll try to post those videos up on YouTube. Hopefully, I'll be able to do it either Most likely it might be iPhone videos, so sorry for the quality. Then again, I don't make that much money, so I was planning to buy a new camcorder. I'm going to see if my brother still has his, and then if he does, we'll probably use that. Try to get better quality and better sound. But until then, hopefully, just for right now, it's going to be iPhone. I'm sorry.
Get some interviews with the people who do good at the 40K tournament.
Oh yeah, definitely get interviews with some of the players there, where they came from. Try to get a synopsis on like.
Try and get some interviews with some of the players of the more interesting armies.
Oh yeah,
like if anyone shows up with Sisters of Battle or.
Oh yeah, definitely,
something like that.
Yeah, the tournament is 2 days, so I definitely have enough time to grab and pick and see who is the most interesting of the bunch. We'll check out people who are being most successful and things like that. Well-painted armies. I'll try to cover all demographics, and then maybe even get some interviews with people who are at the bottom of the barrel, see how they feel.
How it feels on the other side of the coin.
Other side of the coin. Did you have fun getting raped by other armies?
How do you show me on the doll where the Grey Knights touched you?
There.
Are you going to be playing in the tournament?
No, I'm actually not going to be playing in the tournament. I was planning to, but originally, since Brian said that he was going to, I was going to let him do it, and I was just going to do a lot of the video coverage. But as the time went on, and me thinking that he was going to be playing, didn't really do any practice games, been concentrating on school and stuff like that. So me going into a tournament like that and paying for it, I don't think would be the best thing for me, because I'm not prepared for it at all.
You haven't played much 6th edition yet, right?
Haven't played any 6th edition, so I'm going to be total noob. So me going into that type of situation with a lot of top tier players that I'm thinking are going to be there, probably not the best trial by fire I would want to put myself through. Especially,
good idea.
Yeah,
that's a safe bet.
At least with other tournaments that I've been to, I have a small chance of placing or doing well. With this one, I probably have like no chance. At this point, I'm just gonna be like, this guy goes here, I'm gonna see how my dice roll. But yeah, so that's it for Kamikaze. Just that quick update. Next thing we're gonna be talking about is Dark Heresy.
So, like we've been talking about for you guys, we finally got our Dark Heresy game lined up. Right now we've got our 3 players and our DM, Joel. And we're going to have our first game next Friday. And we're going to record that for you guys. And we'll have it online, and you guys can check it out. Hopefully you guys like it.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing it at his place, not here. So it'll be a little bit different from what you're seeing right now. Me and George are actually going to be finishing up our character backgrounds and things like that, submitting them to Joel so he can conjure a fantastic story for you guys to listen to.
A fantastic story for Space Steve Irwin.
Yes, Space Steve Irwin. That is what George is probably going to be playing. And I'm going to be his safari rifle guy shooting stuff. But anyways, and then we're going to try to get in contact with Danny to try to get him sped up on what he needs to do for character creation. Otherwise, we're going to make him a red shirt and kill his character off. Again.
Don't make us do that, Danny.
Don't make us do it, because we will do it.
We will.
We remember what happened last time.
Yeah, we dropped a drop pod on you.
I think they enjoy it.
No one cried.
No one cried. We didn't even
notice. We're just like, oh, there was a guy there.
There was?
And then a cool badass came out of the pod, and we're like, neat, let's follow him.
He sounds cool. But yeah, so Dark Heresy, it's going to be fun. Hopefully we'll make it enjoyable for you guys. It will be videotaped via our new webcam, sound equipment, so stuff like that. So it will be fun. We have fun. Hopefully you guys will too. So yeah. So moving on. The Reaper Mini Kickstarter, George.
All right.
Explaining us.
So,
what is that?
In case you guys haven't heard, a few months ago, Reaper Miniatures put up a Kickstarter on that Kickstarter website, and it was really straightforward. I liked what they did. They basically told all the customers, they said, all right guys, we've got this new model line, this Bones line, and they'd had put a couple models out, and I guess these are high quality plastic models that are made from a plastic that you don't need to prime. Paint sticks on it very well. So they said, all right, we're trying to make a lot of new models for this line, transfer some of our metal stuff into it, but molds are really fucking expensive. So we're going to put up this Kickstarter, and you guys can donate money to the Kickstarter, and when you donate certain amounts of money, you qualify for different levels of donation. And basically what the Kickstarter is you're pre-buying these models. So basically what happened by the end of it, after people kept putting money in, is you basically put in $100, which is the lowest level, like, decent contribution, and you pre-buy about 170 high-quality models from all different kinds of stuff. We've got, like, fantasy-style models. We've got D&D models. I think there's some official Pathfinder models. There's some sci-fi models in there.
One of the models that I really love, and if I could buy it off you, I don't think you're gonna sell it, but
Oh no, he's talking about this really nice looking Clockwork Dragon model they're making,
I really want it.
and this is a big. We're talking 7 inches tall, 12 inches from tip to tail, and this model's $15 for this model is what I'm paying.
Yes. Oh my God, the model looks gorgeous.
And so, after being real upfront with the customers, with saying this is what we want to do, and then with the money they're going to make the molds and get all the models out, their original goal was $30,000. And by the end of the Kickstarter, they had raised $3.4 million.
Yes.
Oh, man.
This business move for this company was
This is
amazing.
a huge business move.
Huge.
And it's just amazing that by being really upfront with the customer and by saying, this is what we're making, this is the product line, and there was just a really huge outcry for it, and people really seem to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, just like everybody in the community is always looking for, like, hey, what's that cool deal, getting something that they want, and just by this company saying, hey, this is what we're going to do, it's something that we know that everybody wants. If you guys want to help us do this, because right now we can't really do it on our own. That's the reason why I kind of like how Kickstarter kind of did this and helped these guys out. But just, my God, this business thing was just amazing.
So the reason we're bringing this up is it seems like they're going to open up, hopefully in the next few weeks, a way for people who missed the initial Kickstarter to still get in on it, to donate some money and to get the models. It might be a little bit more, but I mean, let's be honest here, $100 for 170 models, even if they bump that up to 150, that's still less than $1 a model for models that normally retail between $2 and $5 each.
Yeah, especially, and then you're talking about big models too that usually even go up to $15 and $25.
Yeah, and like big models that might retail for $45 or $50, you can add on, say, $15 more and you get these models. That's what the Clockwork Dragon was. For
you're
example.
almost like, based on like just those pricing schemes,
you're basically getting wholesale prices for these models.
Yeah, wholesale prices almost at cost for how much they just normally make it.
And I mean, I know I'm not going to be able to use all of these models. I'm going to get some skeletons and some rats that I don't really need. So
what are you talking about? You can use skeletons and rats.
That's true. Or, you can at least find people trying to build Skaven or Tomb Kings or something.
Yeah.
But what I'm definitely going to do is, since most of the characters are humanoid and they're right around the 40K scale, I know I'm going to be cutting up a ton of these characters to convert the shit out of my Dark Eldar. It's going to be awesome.
Yes. And then especially with these models, definitely you can use it and be like, hey, I can actually play in like a Pathfinder game.
Yeah.
Or just like any other RPG modules, be saying like, hey, I got a character now.
Yeah,
this out.
You have you can have your character, and they're good quality, so you paint them up and there's your RPG character.
Yeah. So definitely gives you a lot of options. Definitely gives you a lot of stuff, which I'm really cool for. And I mean, more stuff for the hobby.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
So you can check out their website, reaperminis.com. I think it's reaperminis.com/KS for the Kickstarter to get on the mailing list.
You have to get on
so
the mailing list.
So they can send you the information about it. I know, like, there's a lot of really cool models in here. I'm really excited for some of the Vampire Hunter models, because there's like a disco guy Vampire Hunter with the fro.
Yeah.
I really want this guy.
I really like how they have the monster chest, the living chest that has the teeth and tongue sticking out, jumping at you.
Oh, yeah, like a mimic?
Yeah.
Yeah, mimic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, come on. There's a Clockwork Dragon. I don't know who does not want a Clockwork Dragon. I mean, I do want a Clockwork Dragon. Also, one of the cool things is, like, when George was telling me about this Kickstarter a couple of weeks ago, is that he showed me the initial, like, what was available, and we kept on checking it like every couple of days and stuff like that, and they just kept adding stuff to it.
Yeah, as more people contributed, originally for the $30, I think it was maybe 70 model, not for 30. For $100, I think it was like 80 or 100 models. But then as people kept contributing more and more money and they had more and more funding to make more molds, they just started adding and adding and adding. And I think over the course of like a week, it jumped from, say, 150 models to 180.
Yeah.
Just because they got so much more cash.
Yeah, and they're just like, hey, here, you can have Storm Giants now. I'm just like 2 different versions. I'm just like, what? Wow. Some of this stuff is just like, for anybody that plays like D&D, Pathfinder, or any of these like fantasy modules and things like that, or even like sci-fi future, I mean, just the model count itself, I mean, $100 gets you pretty much all the modules or all the models you'll need for your modules.
Yeah, and it's got a ton of stuff. They have like flame monsters and
vampires, monsters, goblins,
and halflings. I mean, they really
ogres, orcs, trolls.
They really covered the full
like
spectrum here.
Robots.
Oh yeah, they got some robots.
Yes.
And then the flagship model is Mr. Bones, who's a little Grim Reaper zombie with a grave digging shovel.
Yeah. Oh, one of the other models that I really like too is this demon chick, and she's riding a motorcycle.
Oh yeah, so I guess that is Sophie, and she's a special edition model that Reaper Miniatures puts out in really limited qualities whenever they do like a new product, new project, or like when they're at a show.
Yeah.
So there's a new one for this Kickstarter where she's riding a motorcycle.
Cool. All right.
And so yeah, I think this is a really good idea. I hope more model companies try and take advantage of this this new way to try and do business and raise money, because I think it was really effective. And the thing I like the most is it was built off entirely just being real honest with the customers, by being really straight with them and saying, this is what we want to do. Will you support us? You know?
Yeah, most definitely. Because like, especially like companies like, say, like Forge World or Games Workshop and War Machine and stuff like that. I mean, they put out models and then people are like, hey, got good, cool models and stuff like that. But then every time that they put a codex out, they'll have like entries for models that are just like, wow, that sounds really cool, but like, where's the model for it? And then sometimes it takes like how many years?
Like, just think, how popular would it have been if there had been a Turvagon Kickstarter?
Yeah.
And they would have made the Turvagon model and say, all right, give us, what's the Turvagon? $50?
Yeah, it's like $50.
Give us $35 so we can put out the kit, and then we'll mail you one of the first production runs, and we'll have the Turvagon kit to have on shelves, so we don't have people wholesale converting Carnifexes. And I just think that using this sort of idea can really help a lot of the companies with this sort of thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because then that way they don't have to come up with the revenue themselves. They can be like, well, we'll see what the community says. If they support enough, we'll give them the model at a discounted price.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, who doesn't want to get the model at a discounted price and say that you helped create this model?
Yeah, you get the model cheaper and earlier, and the company gets it on the shelves in stores to make money. I think it's really a case of everybody wins.
Yeah, everybody wins. So, because you know where the money's going to go. It's not like they're going to spend on something else. It's like, this is what we want it for. And then just like how Reaper Mini did it, if they get a high enough response from the fans and from the hobbyists, it's just like, well, we got a lot of money for this Turvagon, so hey, we'll add, since we got so much response for this,
we'll add some gaunts for your Turvagon to make, or something.
We'll give you some gaunts, and we'll give you some gaunt kits, and things like that. So I mean, I think it'd be really beneficial for a lot of the model companies to take a look into this, especially ones that are trying to start out.
Yeah.
For startup companies too, like for I think some of the indie games and things like that. Check out Kickstarter and say like, hey, I want to start this game. Here are the models. Here's some sketches and concepts and things like that. If you feel like you would want to invest in something like this, here, check it out. So I think it'd be very, very beneficial especially for people that want to start their own like miniature game company.
Yeah, it's the other thing I really like about it is because it's community driven by the people. You're not going to get funded if you don't have a good product. So it also encourages a high level of quality control and having a good design concept. So
yeah, and then with Go ahead.
Not just quality control, but customer service.
Yeah.
Because that's always
yeah.
that's how you get repeat customers for better business that has longevity. Is there's
Oh yeah.
to support the customer and give them what they want so that they'll come back.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then not only that is like if you know that your product isn't going to make it and your Kickstarter wasn't going to make it, I mean, even though those people said that we're going to give that much money, the project wouldn't get funded until they hit their benchmark. So
they wouldn't lose anything, and there's no downside really.
Yeah, there's really no downside. I think the only downside it would be if the company decided not to do something for it, but then I think there'd be legality issues about that.
Oh, they can only accept. Yeah, there would be legality issues. They'd be
Yeah.
breaking contracts there.
Yeah, and then that would be the only downfall. But I mean, there's a consequence for that. So yeah, so something to think about. Games Workshop, Forge World, War Machine. We're looking
you're
at
listening.
you. Yeah. I don't think you listen to us, but yeah, it's on the internet now.
Check it out.
Okay, so next thing we're going to be talking about is a new segment that George actually came up with, and I think it'd be really cool to see happen on our show.
I think we're basically going to call the segment Rules Lawyers.
Yes.
And the way it's going to work is it's going to be maybe a 6-minute long or so video we'll have up on YouTube. And it's just basically going to be, since 6th edition has so many really weird rules interactions and rules arguments, we're going to maybe pick one or two of the more controversial or popular ones, and we'll get a couple people from around the San Diego area that really know the rules and have differing views on it. And we'll give each of them a chance to present their case, citing sources from the rule books and other codexes and stuff like that. And then we'll put both arguments side by side. We'll give them a chance to do rebuttals, and then we'll put the video up and let you guys vote to see who you think is right or wrong.
Yes. And if you don't know, you know how well the argument phase is in 40K, so we'll be getting people who are very good at the argument phase.
It's the longest phase of every turn. Many a game are won in the argument phase.
Yes. So be on the lookout for that. Trust me, a lot of the guys that we have that are the rules lawyers of the San Diego area are very animated. So, yeah.
They're animated players, and they're also good players.
Yes.
So
we're going to be getting a lot of good players on
this. We're going to get some real good opinions for you, some informed ones, and hopefully we'll be picking out rules arguments that will actually matter to people's gameplay.
Yeah, so if you don't want to watch, like, say, political debates and you want to watch something a lot more interesting, definitely check out our channel.
All right. What do we got next? All
right, so we're going to be actually finishing up with announcements and then final comments for today's podcast. So announcements for this coming month of September. Addie's 1-year anniversary is actually going to be happening this coming month in September. I will finalize that date because I was talking to the owner, Ron, about this, and it's either going to be on the 15th or the 22nd. I'll get that finalized for you and hopefully on the next podcast before that happens. Essentially, what's going to happen on that anniversary, it's going to be on a Saturday, and it's going to be whole day gaming. So they're going to have all the tables set up and things like that. So all day gaming, card games, board games, miniature games.
They're going to have card game drafts. They're going to have mini tournaments for Warhammer 40K. And are they doing fantasy too?
I think so too. It's going to be a 400-point mini tournament. I forget. It's normal force org, and it's 400 points. So you got to get really creative with how you're going to be making your army list on that one, since it is still required 1 HQ, 2 troops, and 400 points. So you'll have to figure that out. And then also he's going to be holding a raffle that day too. So you'll be able to buy a raffle ticket, or if you buy something in the store, your raffle ticket's already included for a set cost, and then or for how much you buy in the store. And that raffle ticket will be included into the raffle, which will be drawn every hour on the hour for a $50 gift certificate. So something definitely to check out. Again, the 400-point tourneys for 40K and for fantasy. Essentially, they're going to have a overall, general, painted, and sportsmanship score for winners. I went last year to the opening, so he's pretty much having it the same way as the opening.
I went too. It was a lot of fun. You got to meet a bunch of new people who... since we don't normally game at Addie's, we got to meet a whole bunch of new people, and it was just a really cool experience seeing a ton of people in the store and a lot of people just enjoying a bunch of different games.
Yes. Definitely check them out. They do specialize, I believe, a lot better on the independent games. So, like Mech Warrior,
Infinity.
Malifaux, War Machine, and things like that. So definitely check them out for your independent needs. I think they're actually going to be holding an Infinity tournament. I'm not too sure if they're going to be doing that same day. But yeah, definitely check out Addy's during their 1-year anniversary.
We've also got the tournament being run by our conspicuously absent ghost man, Danny.
Danny would technically be sitting there, but unfortunately he's not.
Yeah, normally he'd be sitting right here, and we'd be asking him about the tournament. We'd be asking him if he had any new ideas for his rules or had anything about that. But since Danny's not here, we have to skip our little segment about running a tournament with him.
Yeah.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, Danny.
It's your fault.
We can't even ask him about how his league game went.
Yeah, it's your fault, Danny. We have less content because of you.
Yes.
I'm watching you, Danny. You're not here, but I'm keeping an eye on you.
Yes. All right, and then the last tournament that's going to be going on this month is at Paradise. So it's actually going to be the same day as Danny's tournament. It's going to be a singles 40K tournament. It's 1,500 points. And like I said, it's on the 22nd. So for everybody that's living in Northside, like in Oceanside, Carlsbad area, definitely check out that tournament. Paradise is a really good store too. So
They got a new location a little while ago. Their game room is
a lot bigger.
Extremely improved. So
Yes.
check it out, even if you don't want to have a chance to
Yeah,
go.
if you've
to
ever
the
been to
tournament.
Paradise before they moved to the new station or the new location, their game room has tripled in size.
Don't worry, the new location is literally like 4 stores down from the old one.
Yeah.
So if you know how to get to the old location, you can find the new one.
Yeah, right next door almost. And if you get hungry,
There's an In-N-Out and a Little Caesars.
And a Little Caesars right next door.
Just in case you didn't have bad enough heartburn.
All right, so that is it for today's podcast. Any closing statements? We'll start with Kyle, since you are the new guy.
Well, I'd like to thank you for having me. I had lots of fun. I hope I can do this again.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
All right, well, man, I hate Terminators. I'm really happy I got to shoot a bunch this week.
Yes. And then for me, I'm definitely looking forward to the Dark Heresy game. I can't wait to play my character. If you don't know, I'm probably going to be playing a Vistroyan. Hopefully, I'll be able to wear.
He wants to wear the fuzzy hat.
I do have a fuzzy hat that I would like to wear, and I also have some steampunk stuff that would definitely fit with my hat.
You know, I can just tell he's going to ruin all of our undercover missions with that fucking hat. Oh, we're in the middle of a bar. We're trying to get information. Yo, buddy, why are you wearing that hat? Oh, it's because I'm a Vistroyan trooper from Vistroya. It's like, oh, good job, man.
Yes. Don't worry. I will crush you.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Uh-huh. Okay, so that's it for closing statements, closing arguments, and blah, 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 blah. That'll be for the actual debate. But thanks again for joining us in the San Diego 40K podcast.
See you next week.
See you next week.